Hey, beautiful soul, welcome to Woo Girl Radio, where we talk all things spirituality, woo woo, manifesting, intuition building, all that good stuff. I'm really excited to have you here today. Thank you for being part of our amazing community of beautiful souls, spiritual beings, light workers, all of the above. And I'm so stoked to be able to chat with you today. We're talking to Kyle Cardoza today. He is an amazing manifester and has shared with me a lot of beautiful insights on how to quickly and practically manifest. I know sometimes with manifesting, it seems a little bit woo woo or out there, or we don't necessarily feel like we know what we're doing. And he really breaks it down into actionable, amazing steps for us. So you can start reprogramming your neural pathways in your brain. You can start focusing on gratitude. You can start living in the moment more. And you can really start building the life of your dreams. So I'm so excited to get to talk to you guys today about that. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So Kyle has built his following from the ground up on TikTok. He's now at about 57,000 followers on there. So if you don't follow him on there, go give him a follow. He brings amazing practical knowledge about the manifesting world, but he's also been a reporter for CBS, reporter for Forbes Under 30. He's built his own entertainment news network and his own social media company. So he really shares with us today about his journey into owning who he is, forging his own path, focusing more on positivity, and kind of manifesting the life of his dreams. So I know we're all a work in progress, and he shares with us the progress and the moments that he's winning right now, but also how he's done it. So I'm so excited to show you what we came up with in our chat, and I hope you follow him on social media at Kyle Cardoza or at Kyle Cardoza 95 on all platforms. So let's get into it. Thank you so much for being here. I love you unconditionally. I'm sending you so much good vibes, and I can't wait to help you with your manifesting journey. Hey, can you hear me? What's up?
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up?
Hey, oh, it's so good to see you.
So good to see you too. I'm so pumped for this podcast right now. You have no idea.
Me too. Yeah, you're my first official guest.
Oh,
Everyone else is booked after you. So yeah.
I feel honored. Wow, this is great. Thank you so
Right?
much for inviting me.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, first off, just how's your week going? How are you?
My week is going extremely good, extremely well. I've been a really productive week. I gained a new social media client, so I'm really, really pumped about that. Uh,
Amazing.
just really, really good. I have a meeting tomorrow with another one of my social media clients just to go over like some social media stuff. And she's
Yeah.
planning a trip over to Dubai, and she was talking about taking me. So I'm very, very excited just to film some content. So I'm very pumped. I'm very excited. Things are going really well. I really think I
Sweet.
can complain. How's everything with you?
Good. Yeah, I launched my first online course this week, so I actually got people buy it, which was amazing. So
Yeah. So
yeah, so I'd love to hear about your story and your journey to kind of how you got into mindset work and manifesting and all that.
yeah, for sure. I mean, so my story mainly kind of starts when I was like extremely young. When
Yeah.
I was maybe 4 or 5, maybe even 3, just extremely young. I was very engaged with the world. So I was
Mm.
very, looking up at the stars, wondering like, oh, are there other planets out there? Are there other moons? Oh, there's galaxies. Oh, the Milky Way is a thing. So I was very obsessed with space. I was very obsessed with the universe. And just growing up, my parents kind of fed into that obsession. So my mom got me a telescope. My dad would buy me books on stars and the Milky Way galaxy and things like that. And I was just very obsessed with how this entire world works. So, and also my grandfather was a physics professor. So he also helped in terms of encouraging science on me as well. So just with that curiosity mindset, it led me to kind of try to figure out how the world was created, how the world works, the laws of the universe, like all these different things from a very, very young age, just because I saw the stars at night and I was just mind blown. And as I got older, my parents started to give me more positivity, especially my mother, my father as well. I get most of my talking skills from my father, but my mother gave me a lot of positivity. So growing up, I was very positive, optimistic, very communicative person. And I was very just intrigued by how people worked, how the world worked, all these different things. I didn't come across law of attraction or manifestation until I was about 18 years old. When I was 18, I got involved in a network marketing company. And in this company, there were a lot of 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 21, 22, making $30,000 a month, $60,000 in a month, $100,000 a month. And that blew my mind. And I was absolutely just mind blown by how they were all so young, making absurd amounts of income, more income than my mom made, my dad made, my family was making. So I asked them, how exactly did you get to this point? And they told me law of attraction. And that's the first time that I heard the phrase law of attraction or manifestation. So I started to look into it, didn't take it seriously until I was 23 years old though. So I heard about it and I believed it, but I didn't necessarily start studying, look into it until 23. When I was 23 years old, I came across an audio series called Your Wish Is Your Command. And then once I listened to that audio series, I was completely sold. And I started to kind of take my science background and apply it to the law of attraction. And it just made sense in terms of how atoms are created, in terms of how particles move, just in terms of how the universe works. When you apply the law of attraction concepts to science, it combines together. So it made so much sense to me. And I kind of figured out kind of the key in terms of how our reality is created because of the fact that I had a massive science background when I was a kid. Now, if I didn't have that huge science background when I was a kid, maybe it would have taken me a little bit longer. But because of the science background, I instantly knew, okay, law of attraction is a thing because I understood how the world, at least from what we perceive so far, is created.
I love that. Yeah, both my parents are scientists. My brother's an engineer. Yeah, so it's kind of funny because I grew up in the science world and science background too. And a few times I've really upset scientists by applying like law of attraction type stuff
Yeah,
to, but it works, right? And that's one of
it
the
does.
reasons why I wanted to chat with you today is because like I love the super practical approach you take.
Thanks.
Like you're like, this is just science. So when I see
It
you on
is.
TikTok, when I see you on social media, it's just so beautiful to see like such a practical application of it.
Mhm.
Because it's so easy to, I think, get sucked into like, oh, well, I didn't want it enough, right? I didn't do this enough. And for you, it's like a formula. So I just like love how you teach that?
Exactly, exactly. It
Yeah.
really is like a mathematical, scientific formula that can be applied to anybody. Anybody can use it because we're all in this universe, So it's really awesome.
Totally. Yeah, it's a bit of an equalizer too, right? Like there's obviously like challenges people go through in life and things that like you kind of can't help that you're born into, but I think it's really easy to victimize ourselves in that, but kind of understanding that like no, this is just a law that
Mhm.
works. You can kind of take your power back even if you are maybe a little bit more disadvantaged in certain ways. It's so cool that like people like you get to spread this and like help people realize that they have more power, right?
Yeah, that's my goal. That's what I'm really trying to accomplish. I'm one of my huge lifelong goals is to really help the world become a lot more positive, at least more positive than when I came into it.
I love that. That's so amazing. Yeah. I also love how you just like keep it real kind of thing. Um, I think it was a few videos back on your feed, you were talking about like releasing it to the universe and how a lot of people, when they're talking about manifestation, I see it all the time on my feeds about essentially like just let it go, like stop thinking about it. And you were essentially saying like, no, like keep that burning passion. Do you think you could like go into that a little bit for everyone today?
Yeah, for sure. So kind of, I'm gonna get into like a little science of the mind here, but
Yeah.
essentially, so on TikTok, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, just let it go, stop thinking about it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's the complete wrong approach, both scientifically and both in terms of our brain. So when we're consistently thinking about something over and over and over and over and over again, in our brain, we have what's called neural pathways and neurons. And everybody learned this in science class in like fourth grade, but none of us knew how important it really was. So we have neural pathways and we have neurons. The reason why it's so hard to break like a habit, let's say if someone smokes all the time, or if they consistently just sit on the couch and eat chips, or whatever the habit is, it's so hard to break that habit because the neural pathway and the neuron in your brain is very large. So in order to create a new neural pathway and a new neuron, you need to consistently think the same thing over and over and over again. It's like building muscle. You need to think
Mm.
the same thing for long durations of time over and over and over again over a specific time period. And that neuron and neural pathway will grow. So once it grows, it becomes part of your subconscious mind. Your subconscious controls 95% of your behavior. And at the same time, since it controls 95% of your behavior, that's your actions, your thought patterns, your day-to-day life, your day-to-day activities, everything you do, 95% of it. While you're growing that neural pathway and neuron, it's going to affect your subconscious mind, but it's also going to send frequencies out to, whether you want to call it the universe, energy. Thomas Edison called it the ether, but it's going to
Yeah.
send mental frequencies out into the universe for what you want to attract into your life. The only way that this can happen is if you think the same thing over and over and over. If you let it go, you stop sending the frequency, you stop building the neuron, you stop building the neural pathway. So that way it will never come. Now, some people are like, well, I hate the 369 videos, but some people are like, well, it worked for me when I did 369, right? And it's kind of like when you make a chocolate cake, right? You can make the most delicious chocolate cake ever, and there's a specific set of instructions. If you use another set of instructions, you can still get a pretty decent chocolate cake, but you're not going to get the best chocolate cake possible, essentially. So people have kind of mixed up the formula really, really bad, especially on TikTok. That's
Yeah.
essentially what it is the burning desire is you essentially thinking that same thought over and over and over and over and over and over again, and not from a place of, oh, I don't have it yet, or not from a place of, when's it going to come, but from a place of, I'm so thankful that this is on the way. I'm so grateful that I'm taking the actions towards my goal's achievement. I'm so grateful that I'm on the path towards achieving my goal. And you're thinking this over and over and over and taking action. So that's how you kind of put the seeds for a burning desire, is simply by just always thinking about it as long as you can every day. It doesn't have to be 24/7, but as long as you can every day and always taking action towards it. And have a smile on your face when you're doing it too. The
Yeah.
best way that I try to describe it is the night before Christmas. Like when we were all kids, Christmas was the next day. Do you remember how excited we were? We were so pumped. We didn't ask when Santa Claus is going to come. How is Santa Claus going to get down the chimney? We never asked that. We just knew. It's the exact same thing. So that's really what a burning desire is consistently thinking the same thought, having the feeling of, oh my God, it's right around the corner, just like Christmas, and taking action.
Totally. I love that. Yeah. So like, let's say like you're working with someone brand new. They're just figuring out what law of attraction even is. Like the idea that you can manifest your thoughts, and that you can bring your goals into reality. Like what would you suggest for them to do? Like what's the first step for them?
The first step for anybody to do in this journey is make realistic goals. So a lot
Yeah.
of people are like, I want to be a millionaire, or a lot of people are like, oh, I want to be on Disney Channel, or I want to be a famous musician, or I want to be a famous. But they say that, but inside they don't believe it. And it's
Yeah.
not necessarily about me telling you what my goals are, trying to impress you, like, oh, I want to do this. It's about what you believe in and of yourself. So if you can't believe I can be a millionaire, if you can't believe I can be on Disney Channel, you have to break that goal down. Okay, maybe you can't be a millionaire, you can't believe it, but do you believe you can make $5 a day? Do you believe you can make $1 a day? Then you make that $5 a day, it raises your belief system a little bit more. Oh, I can make $5 a day. Okay, well, if I can make five, well, I can definitely make 10. Then you make 10. Then, okay, well, I can make 10, I can definitely do 20. Then you do 20 and you build it up from there. So you have to start with small, realistic goals that you can believe. Now, some people can truly believe, hey, I can be a millionaire. They can believe that. And that's great. That's where they start. But for a lot of people, they can't believe that. So you just need to start small and then go big. For example, when I was wanting to be a news reporter, I
Mm.
had started with, I wanted to be working on E-News or like ET Tonight, like these big news stations, entertainment news stations. But I didn't have the full belief, like, oh, I can work for E-News. But can I work for my school's TV station? Can I work for the local, Charter 3 News? Yeah, for sure. I got that goal. Okay, if I can work for the local TV station, then I can definitely work for like a CBS. Then I worked for CBS. Well, if I can work for CBS, I could definitely, be a Forbes reporter. Then I went and became a Forbes under 30 reporter. But it started with the belief of, okay, well, I don't know if I can be like a huge e-news reporter, but I can definitely do the local news station. So you have to start small. And a lot of people are
Totally.
scared to start small too, because it's like, no, I want the big, stars and things like that. But it's a gradual process.
Totally. Yeah. I definitely get sucked into that. It's like I already know that like I should be breaking things down, but like I get so impulsive. I'm like, I want to be that
Oh,
millionaire. Like, I want the love of my life. I want this, I want that. And then
exactly.
I always like beat myself up afterwards, like, oh, like this is, you never can get that. And like, I know better, but it still just seems to be something I fall back into. Like, oh, I didn't sell what I wanted to sell, or I didn't manifest the dream job. And I somehow like
Exactly.
turn it into like a personal fault, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. And then it kind of hinders your belief, so
Totally.
we only like try to grow our belief and not hinder it. So that's why realistic small goals is where literally everybody needs to start.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause when I kind of like reset and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like get back into manifesting, I did a challenge with my roommate to do like a manifest a free cup of coffee in a week. And
Mhm.
then we were gonna like work it up from there, right? Because like if you can manifest a free cup of coffee, realistically you could manifest anything, right? Like
100%.
coffee is matter, $1 million is matter. It's just kind of like, are you allowing it into your space, right? So
Mhm.
I did that really quickly and I was like, hey, on to the next challenge, but like what's your thoughts on like the self-deprecating, like being mean to yourself kind of thing? Like, do you have any tips for that? I know probably a lot of people who are listening have tried manifesting, like most of my viewers and most of my followers, and our community here, like love woo-woo stuff. They love spiritual stuff. Um, but also like I see a lot of people who are still kind of like in pain, like they're still beating up on themselves. Do you have any like thoughts about like, especially from a science perspective, like how we can kind of neuro hack ourselves or hack ourselves to like be nicer essentially to ourselves
Yeah.
so we can get back in that high vibe burning desire state?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of like kind of shifting your mindset from maybe you're having negative thought patterns, you're talking down on yourself, the best thing that I found to do is just simply have gratitude. So if
Yeah.
you can shift that thought process from this isn't happening, I missed this, I missed this opportunity to, well, I'm extremely grateful at the fact that I even got that opportunity. I'm extremely grateful at the fact that, I have friends and a network and colleagues that will help me do this, that, and the third, because everybody has something they can be grateful for. Whether that's I have water in the fridge or I have shoes to wear, everybody has something to be grateful for. So if you can shift your mindset towards gratitude and gratefulness, you will then find that once you focus on that gratitude and that gratefulness, your thought patterns will begin to change because that's where you're essentially, I like to think of thought patterns as a magnifying glass. So whatever
Mm-hmm.
you're thinking of consistently, you're using your magnifying glass to expand that and grow that focus. So if you can take your thoughts from the self-deprecating thought patterns towards gratitude, you're only going to quote unquote attract or quote unquote manifest things that make you feel more gratitude or that make you feel more grateful. So then it's kind of like a snowball effect where you're thinking gratefulness, things come, you get more grateful, things come that make you even more great. It's a domino effect.
Totally. Yeah. And I think too, like, we always forget in the Western world, like, how fortunate we really are. Like, traveling's really taught me that, where I'm like when I live in Mexico, like half the time I don't have a shower. Like, I shower out of a bucket, right? And everyone's
Yeah.
like, you're so lucky to go to Mexico. And I'm like, I am. But like, it really puts in perspective um like just the little luxuries we have, right? Like I can walk in my bathroom here in Canada and turn on hot water. In Mexico we don't have hot water, so you like shower at the end of the day because the water tank has been sitting in the sun and it's lukewarm,
Yep,
and
exactly.
right. But it's like I think in our day-to-day lives we get so sucked into like, oh, I don't have the new iPhone, or I don't have like the fancy car, or you're scrolling on Instagram and you're comparing yourself to other people who probably are just curating an Instagram feed. Like, who knows if that's really their private jet? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But I think you're right. Like, gratitude is such a great way to kind of start off in
Oh, it's a
reprogramming
really, really
yourself.
easy way to shift the mindset. Just focus on what you're grateful for. And everybody has something, at least one thing they can be grateful
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Do you do like meditation or anything? Like what's kind of your like formula if you were gonna like manifest something for yourself in the next like year or
for.
so, you
So
know?
I personally don't meditate at
Yeah.
all. I've tried it once, maybe a year and a half ago. I don't meditate. I don't do yoga. I don't really write down my goals. I mean, I do write down my goals maybe once every 3 months, but they're just consistently in my mind. The only thing that I do is just think the same thought over and over and over and over and over again, and just take action
But
towards what I'm trying to accomplish. So I think the same thought. I feel like it's Christmas. I'm very excited for it to come, and I just take action for it. I don't focus on how it's going to come. I don't focus on when it's going to come. I just know that it is, and I just take action. That's
Yeah,
it.
I love that. Right? Because I think so many people, especially like when you're scrolling your TikTok feed or your Instagram feed, like think you have to do certain things. You know what I mean? Like, oh, if I don't meditate for this long, or I don't do yoga, or Abraham Hicks always talks about being in your vortex. So if you like
Yeah.
get out of your like good vibe zone, your vortex zone, it's like, oh, well, like now what am I doing? Now how am I going to manifest kind of a thing? And you get sucked into that downward spiral again, right? But I think it really is as easy as you talk about, right?
That's it.
Like,
And it's so it's I feel like people beat themselves up because they don't think it's that simple. Because
yeah,
it's genuinely like extremely simple. You just think what you want to accomplish, get very excited for its achievement, and take action. That's it. Point blank in a story. And it sounds so simple, like, no, it can't be that simple. There's no way. But yeah, that's it. And it's interesting because it's almost like I like to say it as, and this is kind of a negative connotation here, but I like to say it as two cars that are on their way to a collision, right? So you're one car, you're taking action. The other car, let's say, is the universe, right? So you're taking action, you're taking action, you're taking action. Now the universe is also taking action, putting people, thoughts, places, I'm sorry, people, thoughts, ideas, and events in your way to help you towards what you're trying to accomplish. And sometimes it can seem negative, the events that
mm,
come. So
yeah,
for instance, back in, it's 2020 now, back in February, I got laid off from my job when I was
yeah.
in Boston. In December of 2019, so a couple of months before I got laid off, I got offered a content marketing position to sit on camera and just do all the marketing content for our company. So I was extremely excited. That was, and I had never worked in social media officially at that point. So I was very pumped to get that on my resume. And the position was going to open up in like May or April, somewhere around that time period. And then February came and I got laid off. So that's an extremely negative thing that happened. I was like, how am I
Mm,
going to ever work in social media if I don't have it on my resume? Very negative. I had to leave my apartment in Boston. I had to sell all my furniture. I didn't know what I was going to do, but that opened the door for me to go to Miami. That opened the door for me to start, what, I might as well get on TikTok. I might as well. It opened the door for all these things that eventually led to me working in social media in Miami. It's crazy. But if that negative thing never happened, then I never would have been where I am now. So sometimes people see negative things and they get so defeated by it, but you have to realize that the negative happens so the positive that you ask for can come in.
that's so funny you say that because the reason why I'm on TikTok, like the whole reason we even came together and met and all this is like I got laid off from my job like end
Oh,
of March, right? And I call it my muggle job. I like that's not what I
that's,
really wanted to do. It's my muggle job. Like
yeah.
this is my like wizard job, you know? Um but like I've been watching Gary Vee and talking about all the like positive mindset stuff and just kind of like just do is kind of his thing, right? Like just take action and do what makes you happy. And really that's like a manifesting formula in itself. So he
Yeah.
was talking about how TikTok's the new hot thing and it's really good to get seen. And I was like very uncomfortable with the idea of being on camera like that so often and talking and dancing and all this stuff. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna take his advice. I'm gonna do it. And it blew up, right? And that's how I fed myself over the pandemic is like my TikTok drove traffic to my website and I just did readings for people and um,
It's
you
amazing.
know, right? So and all these circumstances came together where it looked like such a bad thing. Like there's a global pandemic, I'm getting laid
Exactly.
off.
Exactly.
Um, we do have CERB in Canada. I'm living in Vancouver Island right now. So like I could have been on CERB, but I started making too much money to like be on the government assistance for the pandemic. So I was like,
Okay.
this is a great problem to have
Yeah, it's
now,
a
right?
great problem to have. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But it never would
but
have came if you didn't get laid off.
totally.
So it's crazy how negatives can turn into positives.
Yeah. Yeah. And for all areas of life, like even about 5 years ago when I met my fiance, I like had been harassed at work and I was like, I'm gonna quit. Like I got really sick and it looked like my whole world was crumbling around me. And then right as I started to get better from the illness, I had this like weird virus that made my face swell. I manifested a free trip to Mexico in 2 days, and that's where I met my fiance, right? Like, so it's like
Oh, that's amazing.
me a month before that was like, my life is falling apart. This is the worst,
Yep, exactly.
right? And then I had like a spiritual awakening, went meditated, like hung out with really cool people, and met like hopefully the guy I'm gonna marry, you know? So it's so funny that like that is sometimes the path it takes, you know?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
You never know how life is going to unravel. I like to say life
Hmm.
is kind of like a spider web, how spiders kind of unravel their web. We can't tell exactly where it's going to go, but it's going to unravel. And most of the time, not even most of the time, all of the time, it unravels in our favor.
Totally. And I think too, it's like, what mindset are you in when you're going through that stuff? Because, like, if you're beating yourself up when you're going through this horrible thing, right? Like getting laid off or whatever the thing is,
Mhm.
are you going to take inspired action if you're just down on yourself the whole time? Or if you're like, hey, this is a challenging moment. It's okay to feel how I feel, but like, what's the next step? What do I do? You know, like, that's such a shift in realities, right? Because if I'm feeling sorry for myself, I'm sitting on the couch, like watching Netflix, not responding to my text. You know what I mean? Right. But like if I am going through a challenge, I feel like I'm like rising up and kind of inspired to do something about it. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's really like important to, so when you're feeling down or when you're feeling negative or when you're feeling sad, I think it's very important to feel those feelings. I think
Yeah.
it's really, really important to be in that moment, feel those feelings, and just kind of let it wash over you. The most important thing to do though is not to dwell. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, they kind of confuse, feeling those feelings and letting it wash over you with dwelling. So dwelling is like, it's for a longer duration of time. If you have to feel sad for a day, 2 days, 3 days, even 4 days, that's fine. But don't turn it into a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but feel those feelings, because if you don't feel those feelings, it's gonna stick in there, and it's gonna
Totally.
kind of be like a glue that's attached to you. So you have to feel that and just completely let it go.
Yeah. And I think too, that's like such a different perspective than suppressing something. Like, I think for everyone listening right now, like, that's a very different thing of suppressing your feelings, being like, oh, I only can feel this for 2 days kind of thing, versus like, it's totally valid that I feel this way. Like
100%.
cry or get angry or whatever you need to do, right? But then like actually let it go, right? Like that's such a different vibe. And I think you always know when you like actually let something go, where if someone brings it up, it doesn't like upset you. Like you don't get anxiety, you don't get like a feeling in your like a visceral feeling, right? You're like, no, I'm on to the next thing. Like one of the favorite things I love telling myself is like the universe always supports me, like the universe always has my back, and like you don't necessarily have to know what it's going to
No,
do, right?
no,
I
not at
think we
all.
get so caught up in the how, right?
Exactly, the how. And I
Yeah,
understand. You know what I mean? I
totally.
understand. Oh, I want to build $1 million business. How? You have $0 in your bank account. How are you going to accomplish that?
Yeah.
So I definitely understand like how people can get caught up in the how. I remember when I first kind of started these practices, procedures, if you want to call it.
Hmm.
I was always kind of not always, but I was slightly focused on the how. And then things started happening, and I was like, "Oh, I don't need to know the how. I don't need to know the when. It's just the trust. Just like Christmas.
Hmm.
That's it.
Totally.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I think too, like, I go through like an absorption period when I'm manifesting. Like I just launched my business this year officially. Like I have it registered with the government and everything. Like, but like there was a long period before that where I just had to like scroll through my feed and like look at business TikTok and like look at marketing and like understand how to code
Yeah.
websites and things like that. Like there was so much I didn't know. And I just like used to be so hard on myself about it. And when I shifted into a like, I'm just actively learning mindset, I'll figure it out. That's kind of like the magic spot, I think, right? Like when you're like,
Yeah,
I'll
definitely
figure it
agree.
out. Yeah.
Definitely agree. I would say like be like really excited about it too. Like, there's so much I don't know. Or, oh my God, there's so much I don't know.
Right.
Like very excited, like, oh, there's so much to learn. I'm so pumped. I can acquire all this knowledge. See, there's two sides of the spectrum. I don't know all this stuff. Or, oh my God, I don't know all this stuff. Yes, let me learn.
Right.
So it really just matters your perspective.
Yeah. And I think too, like when we start being curious and we start asking those questions, like we get hooked up with like the right resources, right? Like
100%.
when I'm starting something and I'm in that kind of like manifesting flow spot, like I'll find a friend who knows what I need to know and they'll be like, oh yeah, I can take like, I don't know, branding photos for you if you want to do like shamanic work for me or whatever the thing is. And I'll be like, oh my God, that's amazing. But if I wasn't actively asking and I wasn't talking about my dreams and desires, like they wouldn't know, right? Like if I was all buttoned up and not talking about it. Yeah,
If you never ask, you'll never know. You'll never get. So you got to ask.
totally. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Um, yeah, like I guess
with your life goals right now, like what are you wanting to accomplish? What's the next step for you? Like, are
Yeah.
you going to dive more into science? Are you going to dive more into social media? Like,
Do you mean in terms, so kind of like my whole life goal or just currently right now?
I mean, whatever, both, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so I want to preface this with a year ago, like all of the things that I currently am doing now and have now was I just can't wait. I just can't wait. And I didn't have it. So
Hmm.
um, a year later, fast forward to now, and I achieved those things. I got those things. I became comfortable. I became complacent because I was just very happy of where I was at, what I'm doing. So I stopped doing the things that got me to where I am now.
Hmm.
Realizing that, I realized that maybe 3 weeks ago or so.
Nice.
Realizing that I'm now kind of back on, fast track. But essentially, my whole goal is so I'm an entertainment reporter, I'm a digital
Hmm.
marketer, social media specialist, influencer on TikTok. So with all those different things that I'm doing, entertainment reporting. So I have a company called the Online News Network.
Hmm.
My ideal goal is when I was working at CBS Boston, I was talking to all of the news reporters, anchors, asking them for tips on how to get to that next level. And they told me that if I wanted to be an entertainment reporter, I had to go through at least 3 to 4 years of being a regular news reporter. And being a news reporter, there's a lot of, six dead, car crash here, kidnapping, da da da, all these negative things. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to
Hmm.
report on negative news. So I figured I looked at the kids that are growing up now. Nobody watches the news. I don't even watch the news. I'm sure
Hmm.
you don't even watch the news sometimes, So
Not unless it's like the worst thing is happening,
yeah,
Like it's like if there's like a tsunami, I might turn it on for like 2 minutes,
yeah.
Yeah.
um, so my goal in terms of news is I want to create an entertainment reporting company that reports on everything that's going on in the world. So for instance, uh, the other day I just did a report on coronavirus. So in Miami, the governor opened up everything 100%. But for instance, you could do a news report on a dance festival. If Chipotle releases a new sauce, Travis Scott's burger meal at McDonald's, how is that? All of these different things you can do news stories on and people will watch it. So my goal with news, at least, is I want to have an entertainment reporter in every single state in the country reporting on events that go on in their state, whether that's a dog festival, a paint night, a clay night, whatever it is, because you can make anything a news story. So that's my ideal goal with my news company is I want to hire entertainment reporters, I want to hire videographers, and I want to teach them how to become news reporters or entertainment reporters or good videographers, good editors. So I can employ all of them to live their dreams. Now that's just one of them. With my digital marketing company, so I work in Google Ads, Facebook ads, and Instagram ads. So I showcase businesses online in terms of paid search. I want to teach college students, high school students, and really anybody who wants to learn, but I focus on college and high school students, how to do these different things. So Google Ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads. So that way they can have employable skill sets before they even graduate. And that way just kind of get a job very quickly, as well as help businesses across America with their marketing efforts. And kind of the same thing with my social media marketing as well. In that same breath, as I want to teach them how to build an Instagram account, how to build a Facebook, LinkedIn, a TikTok, any other new social media that comes in the future, how to brand themselves and build on that, as well as do it for my clients as well. So I'm going to teach them, but they're also going to be helping my clients and helping me do the things that I need to do, and also get paid themselves and have it on their resume too. And then with kind of my inspirational, motivational stuff that I do, truthfully, that's my number one. So my whole thing is I'm going for the statues. So like the MLKs, the Malcolm X's, these names will never be forgotten ever in history. So, and
Yeah.
I think having an impact like that in terms of your lifespan is very, very great. And if I can help the world become a little bit more positive in their thought patterns, whether that's through law of attraction or just being positive in general, I think that's a very worthwhile goal and a very worthwhile way to live one's life and try to make an impact. So when I say I'm going for the statues, it'd be cool like if I had a statue, but really I'm going for the legacy in terms of, oh yeah, Kyle Cardoza helped me. oh, I saw a video by Kyle Cardoza and he changed my perspective. Or I talked to Kyle Cardoza and he completely changed my life. And then that helped me give the information he gave me to my friends and it changed their life. And it's a domino effect. So that's my overall goal, is the legacy and the statues over anything else. And I try to attribute that to everything that I do. So whether it's digital, yeah, I mean, that's the goal. Because my thing is I want to create a better world, not for myself, but for my great grandkids. You know, so the best way to do that is to help as many people as I can help right now, so they can pass that positivity to their kids, who then pass it to their kids, who then pass it to their kids, right? So if we can do that, then over time we can help change the world, be more positive. But it starts with us today. So to bring more value to the other human being, rather than focus on the value bringing that's coming to you, you help change the world in the long run. It's not always about like short-term gain, about, oh, you need to pay me to, you know, to understand my top 100 secrets, you know. No, here's my top 100 secrets for free. So that way the world's a lot better because you're more informed.
Yeah. And then like the opportunities can come too, right?
Exactly. Oh, 100%. If you give out, you get back too. Especially if you give freely, you get back freely too. So me doing this has led to a lot of opportunities. And it's really, really amazing just to see how it all unravels. And it's very inspiring to me to see, okay, I can give 100% of myself for free and get back, you know, whether in a value gain, a monetary gain, or even just a good feeling of I helped someone.
Totally. Yeah. I think too, like, I think I was scrolling on Facebook and I saw this post about like Native American or First Nations, indigenous people saying that a lot of people think about their rights, but
Mhm.
like in a lot of Native American cultures, it's about thinking about your responsibilities, right? Like I have a responsibility to be a good citizen. I have a responsibility to leave this world better than I found it, right? I have a responsibility to future generations.
Yeah.
So like I love that. And I think that's such a beautiful way to bring goodness into the world, right? Because aren't we all trying to manifest a better world, right?
Life, you know, so that's the best way. Is the only way we can really do that, is by helping each other, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What do you think in terms of um like self-care in all this, right? Because like we're talking a lot about giving and I can almost like hear some of my followers, some of my clients, like minds turning, being like, oh, like I have to give, 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 give. Do you
Mhm.
think there's like a balancing point? I always say like I should be giving away the overflow from my cup,
Mhm.
not pouring out of my cup. So like, do you have any kind of like self-care routines or tips or like how do you take care of yourself when you're being so generous, you know?
Honestly, like my thing is taking care of myself is being generous. So
Yeah.
I've at least found that when you give the universe, energy, whatever we want to call it, God, creator, Allah, whatever we want to call it, puts people, circumstances, events, things, and ideas in your life to somewhat reward you for your giving. So your self-care comes from you giving, because things come into your life that help your self-care. If that makes
Hmm.
sense, if that makes sense.
Totally.
But other than that, I would say in terms of self-care is just kind of working on my mental, you know, making sure I'm reading books, making sure I'm listening to good audios, making sure I'm surrounding myself with good people. Just all of these different things goes into that self-care factor. But the number one that I've at least found to be true is, you know, giving my time, giving my value, giving whatever I have to give to other individuals, which then comes back to me twice fold. And then helps my self-care even more, because it helps my belief system, it helps my positivity, it helps my mindset, and it's just worthwhile at the end of the day.
Totally. Yeah. And I think you even did that when you were like, I don't want to cover all the car crashes, you know?
Yeah,
Like that to me is an act of self-care of being like, no, like I want to surround myself with positive stuff, you know? And
exactly.
that's the kind of news I want to see. Like I'm so stoked for your entertainment news stuff because that's what I want to like I want to know how the like Charlie Dunkin' Donuts drink is, you know? I don't have Dunkin' Donuts in Canada. Someone tell me, you
Yeah,
know? Like
someone let you know, you know. But it's really true. I remember that time period, and they legit told me, you know, it's going to be a lot of years of news reporting, and all news reporting is just a lot of bad news. Of course, not all the time it's bad news. There's some good news, of course,
mhm.
but it's a lot of bad news, and I just did not want to do that. And I had spent my college career, I guess you could say, archetyping myself to be a news reporter,
Mhm.
doing things in news, having a lot of news internships. So the fact that I was like, I don't want to do this, to a degree, kind of scared me a little bit, because my whole resume is news. But I
Yeah.
was a really good networker in college. I networked with a lot of people. I was vice president of a lot of clubs. So I had met a lot of professionals and companies and things like that. And they knew my communication style. So I got a job in digital marketing before I even graduated, which was great because I was like, okay, what am I going to do if I'm not going to be a news reporter? So it worked out really well.
Yeah. I think too that's something we sometimes lose sight of is like I went to acting school before I got into all this and I did like film and television type of acting and like I was on a couple like B grade TV shows, right?
Hmm.
And it was like an expensive program. And then I didn't like the industry that much. Like it was really judgy, like it was pretty sexist, it was kind of racist. Like it was just like a lot of things that I did not vibe with.
Exactly.
And so a lot of people were like, well, you paid all this money for school, like why aren't you in the industry still, right? And I was like, I don't want to be cast type as like, like a certain type of person and perpetuate these narratives and stories in media and then have a crew full of people that are like upholding those ideas, right? So but now that I'm doing like more social media, I'm like, oh, I can look back and see I was driven to do that thing so that I had the confidence to be on camera and speak on camera and listen to my own voice on camera because
Yeah.
like no one likes listening to their own
Yeah,
voice.
right.
It sounds so weird. Um, and so it's like I'm looking back as like this was such a blessing. Like there was a reason why I was driven to
Oh,
that, I think, right?
absolutely. There's always a reason for sure.
Yeah.
And it's
And
so
I
cool
did.
when in hindsight you those reasons.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And it's like I did a year of writing for like university, and then I was like, this isn't for me, left for acting school. But now I use my writing skills in my business all the time. So
Mhm.
it's like, I think maybe like just being easier on ourselves,
Oh,
like, yeah,
that plays a lot into it too, because a lot of people beat themselves up. A lot of people
totally.
beat themselves up,
Yeah.
and it's really important to kind of whether it's you take it's failure or you take a loss or something. It's really important not to beat yourself up. Understand, okay, I learned from this, and then just move forward.
Yeah. And like, what's your view on like intuition and things like that? Like, for me, I make all my decisions pretty much off my intuition. Like the course I just launched, Intuition Bootcamp, is all about like checking in with yourself in every single moment and making like the highest quality decisions so you can manifest faster or you can like live your best life. But like, do you go by that, or would you say you're a little bit more like logical, or is it a combination? Like,
I would say that I make most of my decisions off of intuition and instincts. The
mhm.
thing that I've realized is, especially with science, is that our DNA has been coded for thousands and thousands of years since caveman days. So,
Yeah.
back in caveman days, their instincts were, okay, there's a lion out there, there's a tiger out there, I need to survive, I need to build a fire, I can't go out during these times, da da da. So, throughout all these generations, from cavemen to, let's say, Jesus times to medieval to, all these generations, our DNA has been specifically coded with particular knowledge in terms of what we need to do ourselves. Now, because of that particular instinct and DNA code that we have, I rely on that a lot because my ancestors had done things, were decisions that they made that has built over time into me. So I follow exactly what my instincts say, exactly what my intuition says as well. And I think intuition and instinct can be seen as kind of different, where instinct is more our DNA kind of coded from our ancestors, where intuition is more like a feeling. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I
Yeah.
need to do this. I need to do that. For some reason, I feel like I need to do this. Our intuition, I feel like, is I think a sign from the universe, or it's something. It's our soul. It's our soul
Yeah.
telling us something. Our whether you want to say higher power, creator, God, whatever. It's a deeper kind of meaning in terms of, hey, this is the way you need to go. There's a bigger. It's like the puppet master is telling us, letting us know, like, you need to go this way, while our
Yeah.
instinct is kind of our ancestors being like, okay, this is how we survive. So there's a really, really fine line between the differences between the two, but I follow both. And
Yeah.
it's led me to prosperity. So I can't complain. I think everybody should follow their instincts.
I
But
love
a lot of
that.
people are like, oh, I need to ask them first, or I need to ask her first, or I need to ask him first. So they get all these different opinions from different people, so they don't end up following their instincts.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's kind of what I built my business around is like, we're all such powerful beings. So, like, really, like, when I started Lionheartly, I was like, I really want to like empower people so that they can get their own guidance and their own intuition and their own like power source. Because in the like spiritual work I do, I always say that like, I don't know better. Like, like a higher power does sort of thing, right? So like I go and I talk to that and then bring back messages for my clients, but I'm like, this is not my advice. Like this is not coming from me,
Yeah, exactly.
right? But I think we can all do that with our own intuition, right?
Hundred percent.
Um, like what I know is best for me. I've had so many naysayers be like, like you're crazy or like that's silly or like have you thought about this? And I'm like, well, my intuition's telling me I'm good, like my intuition's
Exactly.
telling me.
You have to lean
And
into that.
yeah, right?
100%.
'Cause like yeah, it's so hard to put like explain it in words, but it's just like a feeling you get, right? And
Yeah, it's like a feeling. It's like a knowingness, I guess you could
yeah,
say. Yeah, but where does
yeah,
that knowingness come from? That's the deeper question, huh?
yeah.
Where does it
And
come from?
following your own joy, right? Like, because if
Oh,
someone
yeah.
had said to you, like even with the news stuff, like you have to do 4 years of like watching these awful things happen, like you
Yeah.
you knew your path, right?
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, that's something everyone can take away from this today is really just like leaning into your own personal power and your own instincts and your own intuition.
Yeah, you
Because,
need to. You need to.
yeah,
That's the only thing. It's coded in us. It's in your DNA. It's a knowingness within yourself. So you have to trust that kind of guiding system, internal guiding system, and just go forward.
totally. Yeah. It's so funny too, because like growing up in a household of scientists, my brother is like mentally like the opposite of me. We have the same moral compass, so we get along really well. But like he's a total atheist. He doesn't believe in anything. I did a kind of like law of attraction inspired science fair project where I did like beans with control water. So they all had the same soil, they all had the same sunlight. The only difference was I put hate on one container of water, I put
Yeah.
love on the other, and there was like a neutral control. And the difference was intense. Like the love beans were so tall, the leaves were so big, they were so green, they were visibly healthy. The hate
Yeah.
beans were like shriveled up and brown, and the control were like in between,
Exactly.
right? He tried
Exactly.
to tell me, yeah, like it's not science. And I was like, show me a hole in my scientific procedure. Like, show me where the control isn't there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying beans respond better to love water. That's what the
Exactly.
experiment is.
Yeah.
But my point of the story is like he is so like stuck in his like logical side, which I love. He's so smart, but he just like he won't manifest, like he won't consciously manifest because
Yeah.
he's like, well, there's no tangible proof, right? Like
Yeah.
he's like, there's no peer reviewed study. What would you say to people like that? Because for me, I'm like the like benefits, if it's true, which I
Mhm.
think it is, like far outweigh like some mental power that you would sacrifice if it's not true, right?
100%.
So yeah, do you have any like advice for people who are kind of like on the fence and like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know if
mean,
this works?
I have a lot of friends that are on the fence. So
Yeah.
I remember when I was first kind of getting into this, listening to audios every single day, I had told one of my roommates when I was in college, oh, bro, law of attraction, da da da, you have to listen to these audios. He listened, he believed for about a week, and then he came back, bro, it's all a scam. Nah, no way, bro, it doesn't work. No, I don't believe it. And I was like, okay, whatever. But what I would say is you have to understand, like, you have to look at the way that the world is made first. So a
Mhm.
lot of people love to tout law of attraction and manifestation and simply look at that. But you have to look at the science of the world. Like,
Mhm.
how was the universe made? So far, we know the Big Bang. So if everything had come from the Big Bang, that means that every single atom that exists currently right now came from the Big Bang. So as we know, everything is made of atoms. Me, this laptop, you, this desk, the TV in the back, everything, the cars, everything is made of simply just atoms. It's just one energy, right? So if you look at it like that, and you say, okay, well, if everything is atoms, that means that we are all essentially just one. So if everybody's all essentially just one, we can quote unquote attract things toward us because there's no difference between me and let's say a nice Mercedes Benz. There's no difference. It's the same atoms, right? With our thought patterns, we can attract these things specifically because we have frequencies that come out of our head. The same way there's a frequency from my laptop to the satellite in the sky, and I can talk to you through this invisible thing called Wi-Fi, and I can see you right now. The same way
Yeah.
you can turn on your TV and watch Netflix and see a TV show that was filmed all the way in Hawaii, but you're seeing it right here through some magical invisible connection. It's the exact same way. There's some magical invisible connection that we can use and tap into through our thought patterns. The exact same way radio, computer, Wi-Fi, it's the exact same thing. So if you can believe in Wi-Fi, then you can believe in law of attraction. If you can believe that you can call someone on your phone, then you can believe in law of attraction. You know what I'm saying? That's actually one of my next video topics.
I love that. Yeah. Because it's so simple, really, when you get out of your own way, right? Like,
Yeah, very, very simple. It's really cool. The only thing that it kind of sucks is we can't see these things. So if we
mhm.
could see it, oh, okay, these things are going. If we could see it, that would be like kind of a cheat code, But whoever designed this life game, whatever you want to call it, that we're in, it made it so we can't see these things,
Yeah.
So, but in the Bible, it kind of goes towards religion, I suppose. Prayer is just ask, believe, receive. Why does prayer say ask, believe, receive? Particularly, everybody knows the ask part. I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, but nobody knows the believe part. It's not ask, doubt, believe, receive. Ask, is it going to come? Receive. It's ask, believe, 100%. Believe, no
Yeah.
questions, receive. In the Quran, it talks about how Allah is one and the same as us. It says the exact same in the Bible too. God is made in the image of, or man is made in the image of God. God is one with man. Like all these different things point towards whether you want to say a God, creator, Allah, energy, a source being the same as us. And when you look at science, since everything is just atoms and everything is just energy, it matches up.
Yeah.
So if that's true, and it is true because of science, then that means that we can attract what we want into our life simply because we have that creative power, the same creative power that, whether we want to say energy, God, Allah, creator, whatever we want to call it, had when he created and is still creating this reality that we're in. And mind you,
Totally.
not even just Earth, the universe, the galaxies, other planets, space, black holes, neutron stars, like all these things. So it's really mind blowing when you think of it. But I would say
Right.
look at the science
I
essentially.
love that. Yeah, because like for me, like I had kind of a spiritual epiphany when I watched a documentary on black holes, and they were talking about how if you threw a wallet in a black hole, the wallet doesn't actually disappear. The type of matter just changes because it's under so
Exactly.
much compression. So it's like water doesn't disappear when we boil it, it turns into steam. So really, you can't create or destroy matter. So if
Mhm.
that's true, we have to all be one, right? Like
Exactly. We
there
have
can't be anything bigger than the
exactly,
thing that created everything that makes up everything, right?
exactly. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that fact, and it's so cool because it's science. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he has a great quote, and I love it. He says, "The great thing about science is that it's true regardless of whether you believe it or not." So,
That's
it's
so
really,
funny because I say that about spirituality all the time. Is I'm like, whether you believe it or not, like it's still working.
true. It's true. So you might
Yeah.
as well believe and use it to your ultimate advantage.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's I almost feel bad for the like diehard like deniers of the manifesting because I'm like you could have so much power like personal power and like get pretty much anything you want in your life with obviously some training and work and everything. It doesn't always
100%.
come like that, but um just like being so hard in their beliefs of like no there's no hard evidence so like
Yeah,
I'm like but like the payoff, right? Like the
the payoff
payoff
is amazing.
if
It's
if
crazy.
you just tried it. Like I know that's anecdotal evidence and most people who are like super diehard like science people don't like anecdotal evidence, but
Yeah,
if there's no harm to trying that anecdotal evidence, like I probably wouldn't try a drug that was anecdotal evidence tested, but like
right.
I don't know, manifesting a free cup of coffee, like if I'm just thinking about getting a free cup of coffee, like isn't gonna hurt me,
Oh no, no
you
way. And
know?
the thing is like my thing is whenever people are like, bro, I don't know if it's true, or and they just don't want to look into the science or do research or anything like that, is I always say, look, what's the alternative? It's either you think that you can accomplish your dreams, thoughts, and goals, and you're always focused on them and you're always taking action, or you put yourself in a state of doubt and disbelief of, I don't know if this can happen, I don't know if I can do that. So what's the alternative? Either you believe and you're positive about things, or you don't believe and you just have doubt all the time. There's no
Mm.
alternative. So it's either you have to kind of go into the law of attraction kind of realm because there's no alternative. You can't be negative. There's no alternative.
Yeah,
There's no other side. It has to be positive and always taking action. It has to be. So
yeah,
it's really simple when you put it like that.
totally. What would you say if people are kind of in like a really deep victim mentality? Because like I feel like when people first start getting into this stuff, it's very easy to be like, well, like, does that mean I manifested like the breakup? Does that mean I manifested like the person who hurt me? Does that mean I manifested the trauma kind of
Mhm.
a thing? Like, I always find that such a touchy subject to deal with because, like, on one level, I believe that, but there's such a like narrative of spiritual bypassing or like denying people's feelings. Like, um, what would you say to the people that's like, well, I didn't manifest this awful experience,
Mhm.
you
Uh,
know?
well, there's kind of two sides to that coin. So the first side is you have to realize that every single person is their own individual, right? So if
Mm,
someone's mean to you, if your boyfriend breaks up with you, if this happens, that happens, this happens, you can't always put yourself, did I manifest this? Did I attract this into my life? No, because that other person has choices too. They have their own thought patterns, they have their own goals, they have their own, so it's not always, oh, I asked for this and it came. It could simply just be, hey, they didn't want to be with you anymore. Hey, you
mm,
got laid off because your boss doesn't think you're doing a good job. Hey, this happened because that other person just didn't want to partner with you. Like just all these different things. A lot of people have to realize it's not always about you. Where I like to say, a lot of people love to say, we control our reality. I control my reality. I like to say that we're co-creators, right? We don't
yeah.
necessarily control 100%. We control along ourselves, obviously, along with other people, and along with the universe, right? The other side of that coin is you have to look at how you're feeling. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, I didn't ask to be broken up with. I didn't manifest a car crash. I didn't manifest, spraining my ankle. Just all these negative things." But how are you feeling? Are you feeling consistently frustrated? Are you feeling consistently sad, consistently angry, consistently, things don't work out for me, consistently. So you have to look at the feeling of what you're feeling, not necessarily always your thought patterns. So how are you feeling when these things happen? How are you feeling on a consistent basis? So there's two different sides of the coin. Is there's other people and their control of their own lives, and how are you feeling most of the time? Because you mostly get what you're feeling. Of course, the thought is great, but when you put feeling behind the thought and feeling in general, it accentuates the thought to an absurd degree. So if you're feeling bad, you're just gonna have bad come to you. Even if you're thinking, I'm so thankful, I'm so grateful, I'm so grateful, but you're feeling bad, you'll just have bad come because that's what you're emitting, that's what you're feeling. But if you're feeling good and you match it with good thoughts, good feelings, it only gets even more powerful.
Yeah, yeah, because I found even in my own kind of personal journey that like once I really committed to like taking care of myself, loving on myself, healing myself, kind of raising my vibration, if you want to use that language, like that's when I no longer had space in my life for toxic stuff or like people who treated me badly. And the more I lean into taking care of myself like fiercely, just like people who tended to like be mean to me or like invalidate my feelings or like whatever just kind of fell away. Like they didn't like being with me anymore. They're like, you're too happy. It's weird, you
Yeah,
know?
you have to leave. Yeah,
Ugh.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's happened to me plenty of times. He's too positive. Yeah, that's happened to me plenty of times.
Right. You're like, sorry, but
Yes,
also like I'm gonna keep doing me.
yeah, exactly. Hey, that's kind of how it has to go, You can't let
Yeah.
someone kind of roll over your steam. Like if you're positive, if you're happy all the time, and someone's like, you have to stop being happy, you can't let that affect you. You just kind of keep
Mhm.
on going how you're going, and just kind of put naysayers to the side.
Yeah. And like, I think we really get sucked up in like, we need this one specific friend or we need this one specific job or this one specific relationship. But when you kind of like have built yourself up to a point where you're like, I know the universe takes care of me no matter what. I always
Mhm.
get what I want. I'm really good at manifesting. If I don't know what to do, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Then when those things happen, we have such a like strong foundation to fall back on that like we know there's more coming, right? Like if I had to end a friendship, like I know there's more friends, Like I
Yeah.
know that like maybe that was meant for a season. That's not my thing anymore. But I think it's such a great way to like stop being so hard on ourselves too, right? When we get
Oh, I
into that
agree.
manifesting flow, it's like you realize how abundant the universe is. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, like I can go on TikTok and make a friend, or I can like go to my coffee shop and smile at a stranger and start a conversation. And I find that when I'm focusing on how something comes, it never comes the way I want it to.
Mhm.
But when I'm open to all the possibilities, like maybe my emotional support that day comes from a stranger in a Starbucks lineup, you know? And if I had been closed off to that, they would have never said a kind word to me. But like, that's what I needed that day, right? But if I was just focused, like, it has to come from my boyfriend, you know, it has to,
Yeah,
like, he has to be supportive today. Like,
exactly. You
it
never
really
know
limits.
what's best for you, you know?
Totally. Yeah.
You have to trust.
Yeah. Right. And I think too, like, that feeds into that whole like victim mentality versus like abundance mentality of like, you can go through those challenges and look at it as a way to open the door to possibilities, or you can go through those challenges and be like, why me? You know?
Exactly. There's two sides of the coin.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's always a tricky one I find is like, you never want to invalidate someone's experience if they're going through something painful, but
That's really important, not to invalidate
yeah.
people's experience, because you're not in their shoes. You're not in
Yeah.
their perspective. You don't see what they experience. So it's very important not to invalidate others' experience. If anything, always listen and support.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. What are your views on like money mindset specifically? I know when we talk about manifesting, like a lot of people are like, well, I want that $1 million and I want that house. Do you think that really focusing on just money is a good thing? Or do you think that maybe a little bit more of like a broader net is better? Like some relationships, some friends, some this, some that. Like, what's your personal view on like kind of creating the life you want?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of money specifically,
Hmm.
now money is more for me, I guess you could say like it's a little easier because money is a direct correlation of action as well. So
Hmm.
if you, especially like money of all things is a direct correlation of action. So for me personally, back in the day, I thought to myself, and this is when I was living in Boston. Now I'm not as much money focused. I'm more kind of social media branding focused. Uh,
Hmm.
but I would think to myself, I'm so thankful at the fact that I have an extra income that pays my bills besides my job source income. I'm so grateful at the fact that I have a side hustle that pays all of my bills in rapid speed. I'm so grateful at the fact, and I would just keep saying these over and over and over again and take action in terms of getting more money. So to anybody who's listening, this is a really, really easy way to make $1,000 a weekend. I would go on Facebook Marketplace. I would go and type in free, look at all the free things in my area. There'd be like computer monitors, couches, bed sets, cabinets, dressers, really anything, stands, books, anything. I would pick those up, clean them up a little bit. If they were dirty, most of the time they weren't. Take pictures, put them back on Facebook Marketplace for 50, 80, 60, 70, 200, 150, however many dollars, and then sell it and flip it. So I went from $0 to 500 to 1,000 from $0. So it's free money
Yeah.
essentially. But I started with the mindset of I'm so grateful at the fact, I'm so thankful, I'm so grateful, I'm so happy. You know, so I started from that mindset, and then a thought just came into my head. Hey, why don't I go on Facebook Marketplace? Why don't I look at, oh wow, that's free. Okay, let me see if I can flip that. Oh, I can. Oh, okay. Well, let me keep on doing this. One time, I was uh, really, really late on my rent in Boston, right? And I was selling something in Facebook Marketplace, and someone hit me up, and I needed exactly $450. Someone hit me up to buy 10 chairs for me because I used to sell chairs, and it was exactly $450. So I was extremely mind blown. I remember I still have the message on my phone. It was like a beauty salon that bought from me, and I was extremely mind blown because that's the exact amount that I had needed. So having these kind of mindsets and then taking the action, it doesn't matter what the action is, whether you want to sell paintings, whether you want to draw and sell that, whether you want to come up with custom like prints, whatever it is, you can have these mindsets, and the universe will just put people, places, things, ideas, and events in your way to help you achieve that. And it's really, really great. It's really insane to like say it, but once you experience it firsthand from your own perspective and recognize it, life just unlocks. So you can truly create, like, whether it's money, whether it's relationships, whether it's friendships, whether it's experiences, whether it's traveling, it doesn't matter what it is. You can truly create what you want just from these principles, because something will come into your life. I can't tell you what it is. I can't tell you how, but something will come into your life that makes you take action towards getting these things that you want to attain. And it's crazy because if you keep that belief, the thought and the feeling, it comes in rapid speed. It's very, very insane.
Yeah,
It's very
I
great.
love that. Yeah. It's so funny that you say that because it's like I've had that experience time and time again in my own life. But I never really like put it in those words before. But like you're right, it's less
Yeah,
about the how and usually when you are in need of something like that, like it comes through in the wildest ways, like the
Wild,
$450 chair,
wild.
right?
It's
Yeah.
very crazy. It's a little scary at times, but it's very,
Yeah.
very crazy.
I sometimes even like freak myself out with my manifesting if it happens too fast, and like maybe that's a block I should be working on,
Yeah,
but
right.
like,
Exactly.
right?
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
like
It's crazy.
I did a tapping video like EFT to manifest $365, and I didn't even do a EFT back then. It's like a big part of my Instagram now, but before I was like, I don't really believe this, but like I'm gonna give it a shot. Like, what's the
Mhm.
worst that can happen? It's like a 10-minute video. The next day we had a record-breaking day at my muggle job, my serving job, and after I tipped out all the hostesses in the kitchen, I had $366 in my hand, but it was such a stressful day. I was like, oh my gosh, I manifested this. Like, I
Yeah,
brought all these
it
people here.
turned positive. It turned
Yeah.
positive.
Right. And I was like, okay, next time, like maybe let's just manifest it in an easier way,
Yeah,
like more grace and ease. I
yeah,
like to add that in now when I'm setting my intentions, is I'm like, maybe just a little more grace and ease.
yeah. That's hilarious. That's so cool. That's an awesome story.
Yeah, yeah. Because I used to get in this whole thing where I didn't feel like I was manifesting if I wasn't having big dramatic things happening in my life. Like I'd always feel stuck. Even like a month ago, I was complaining about this. I was like, I feel so stuck. Nothing dramatic has happened before. Like, it's
Yeah.
like a week. My roommate was like, we're in a global pandemic and you just started two businesses. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
things are dramatically, oh no, like you're fine. I was like, it
Yeah,
doesn't
you're
feel
doing good.
like it.
You're doing good.
Right? Yeah. But I think too, it's almost like we have our own language with the universe. So like I know some people who like to manifest very like slow and steady.
Mhm.
And if anything too dramatic happened, like they get freaked out, you know? But
Exactly.
for me, I'm like, I almost want to get like slapped in the face with it, you know?
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Right? So
hilarious.
yeah, I don't know. Like with your style of doing things, like have you ever felt like you've had like an intense sign? Like have you ever felt like this is the universe speaking to me, like I'm on the right path, or is it more like a subtle thing for you?
Yes. So I've had a lot of signs in my
Mhm.
life, and I like to call them synchronicities. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily use the word sign because I feel like when people say like use the word sign, they're always on the lookout. You know what I mean? Like it has to happen like extremely naturally because a lot of people, like for instance, like, oh my God, I saw 222 or 333, and they always look for that. So I don't look for a sign. I don't look for synchronicities. If I'm just walking and just living my life and I see something and it catches my attention, I'm like, okay, there it is. But in terms of a sign, I actually have in my phone, I write down every single sign that happens.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So hopefully I still have it though, because my phone accidentally got erased.
Oh
But
no.
let me see. So I hope I have it. I'll be so mad if I don't have it. Oh, here we go. So this one I didn't necessarily even notice. This is probably one of the biggest ones that I had. So on February 28th, that's when I got laid off from my job in Boston. I wrote this down on February 25th. So like a couple days before I got laid off. I wrote down, keep seeing the same 111, 222, 333, etc. What does it mean? I've seen what Google says, but what answers does it give me? I know I'm vibrating high, but what message does this tell me? 3 days later, I get laid off.
Mhm.
you know 3 days later I get laid off, and then I go through, Corona happens. Through Corona, the pandemic was very good to me. So through Corona I got the chance to move to Miami, work in social media, TikTok, all this stuff. So what I asked for came because I got laid off.
Mhm.
Another thing, oh, this one right here. Random woman messages me on Facebook and buys 10 chairs for $450 when we needed $450 for rent money. Um, at the time, I had an ex-girlfriend. She's making a joke, and we see that exact same joke on TV as we're watching. But just all these different things. My dad's at Shaw's working, and I haven't talked to him on the phone for a few days. When we finally do talk on the phone, we're both in Shaw's. And it's just like different kind of things. Can I show you actually?
Yeah, yeah,
So when I was moving to Miami, I asked for, and I never asked for signs. I never asked for
yeah.
synchronicities. I never do. But I asked if I'm making the right move. So I come to tour this apartment that I'm living in right now, and I see this. Um, it was really crazy. I hope you can still hear me. The fan
Yeah,
outside
yeah,
is a little crazy. So I see, if you can see across the street, it says
yeah,
perfect day
yeah.
right there. If you can see it, I hope it
I
says
can see
perfect
like
day
the
right there.
billboard, but I can imagine it saying perfect day. Yeah.
And over there, so that's a science center. And right there's the
Yeah.
spirals of the galaxy, like a poster of the spirals of the galaxy. So I came and I saw this view, and I saw that it said perfect day, and I saw the spirals of the galaxy right there. And I'm a very big, like, if I see anything about the galaxy, universe, Milky Way, anything like that, I'm a very big believer in that. So when I saw those two right next to each other, a perfect day sign and spirals of the universe, I knew. So that's just like an example of a synchronicity. So they're just things that you have to be consciously aware of when they happen. A lot of people, I feel like, aren't necessarily aware when they happen. They're always looking for 222, 333, 444. It's not always that. It could be something very small, like you and your friend are thinking something at the same time. You guys
Mhm.
say something at the same time. You're walking down the street and you just happen to run into somebody who's into what you're into, and you guys form a connection and then make a business or something. Like, all these different things are quote unquote synchronicities that kind of indicate slash let you know that you're on the right path.
Totally. I
So it's
love
really
that.
cool.
I'm I'm obsessed with that, like the two signs, like right there.
Yeah,
And
it's
to me, the
mind-blowing.
water view too, like that would be a sign. Like when I get
Yeah,
a nice view in an apartment, I'm like, ooh, like this is my place.
yeah, this is my place. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But it's very true. So when I saw that, I just knew, okay, this was the right move. This is where I'm supposed to go. This is the right path. And sometimes, it can be hard to kind of dedicate yourself to a move completely. So for instance, like, kind of one of the hard things that I had to go through when I was, moving to Miami, going through here. I left a relationship when I came to Miami.
Mm.
So it was very, like, in my head, I was always wondering, did I make the right decision? Did I make the right move? Should I have broken up with that relationship? Da 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 da. And I've been getting a lot of synchronicities. I did make the right move. And especially when I saw this, I knew, okay, I made the right move. So even if you're going through something hard and you're seeing synchronicities that are kind of leading you down your path, you have to follow that path.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. What would you say to someone who's like, I don't see synchronicities, like I'm stuck, there's something wrong with me, like because I know we've all thought that, right? So like if someone's going through like a stuck moment in their life, do you have any like tips or tricks to like unstuck yourself, get yourself back in the flow and start
Yeah.
seeing those things again?
Um, Steve Harvey, he has a great, great quote. He says, if you're going through hell, go through hell. Don't stay there. So if you're stuck, keep going. Don't stay in the stuck. Don't keep focusing on, oh, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck. I'm not seeing this, I'm not seeing that. Go through it. Keep on taking the action, keep on believing. And mind you, keep on educating yourself, increase your knowledge, raise your vibration, read books, listening to audios, keep being positive, keep taking the action. Eventually, you will become unstuck. Eventually, you will start seeing synchronicities. There's not a, everybody lives, we all live our lives day by day, right? So today something's going to happen, tomorrow something's going to happen. Sometimes it can feel like we're going through the motions. Keep going. Don't focus on, this isn't happening, I'm stuck, what do I do? Just keep going, keep doing what your life path is, what you have in your mind. Just keep going. Eventually you will get unstuck, but the only way to do it is you have to go through it. So that's the advice, that you just have to keep on going. Even if you're feeling stuck, switch your mindset, start reading more books, start listening to more audios, increase your mindset, raise your vibration. You will become unstuck.
Yeah, I love that too because I find in my own life like when I'm stuck, like I needed to learn something, you know?
Mhm.
Like last time
Exactly.
I was stuck in my business, it's like it was because I was putting roadblocks for myself because I was like, well, I don't know how to code that. I don't know how to do that website. I don't know how to register my business. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. And then the fear kept me stuck, right?
Exactly.
Right. So if you start doing like you say, like little actions, like I was like, okay, well, what can I do? I can Google how to put this code on my website, right? And
Exactly.
I'll just focus on that and like we'll put the business license aside, we'll put this aside and like we'll just
Yeah.
do
Just
like
focus
this
on
little
that.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Exactly.
over time you start to get those inspired things and like things just start to click and you're like, this is how I get a lead magnet or this is how I like, I don't know, find the love of my life or whatever, like I see so many people, especially with relationships, be like, like I'm not meeting anyone and this, that, and the other thing. But I'm like, have you gone out? Like, have you done a pottery class? Have you talked to someone in line at Starbucks? Have you gone on Tinder? Like, whatever the thing is, but
The action. Take the action. And
take the
especially like in
action.
relationships, it's really easy now, especially since we have like online dating. Like back in the
Yeah.
day with the cell phone, it's a little harder, but now we're in modern times, so it's really, really easy. So just put yourself out there, go and take that action regardless of what it is. Just
Mhm.
take the action, have the positive expectation and belief, take the action. I'm not saying like everything you do is going to be 100%. So are you going to meet a couple of guys or girls that aren't really your match? Probably, yeah, for sure. But keep going. You know.
Mhm. Totally, yeah. And two, like I find almost, I don't know if this is like a me thing or like a universe thing, but I always get like almost what I want right
Mhm.
before I get what I want. It's like, oh, I want this house and it needs to have like these five things. And I'll find a place that has like four of the five things. And I
Yeah.
have to decide, like, do I really want to settle on the fifth? Like, and I get that with dating too. Like, when I was dating before I met my fiance, it's like, you're almost a good partner
Almost.
for me,
Very close. Yeah.
almost. Like, do
Very
I keep
close.
dating this person or do I like keep looking,
Yeah.
right? But I usually find if I like stick to my standards, the real like full five things will show up or the full what I'm asking for. Do you find that too? Like,
Yeah, I've found that my biggest challenges will come before I actually get what I want.
yeah.
It's interesting how it plays out like that. I'm not sure if it's a test. I know in the Bible it says all the time like God will test you and things like that, so it'll test your faith. So it could be like a test before you actually receive what you want, and I think that it is just because of from what I'm reading in the Quran and the Bible, and I've already read the Bible, but currently reading the Quran. From what I've
Mhm.
read, there's a lot of passages that talk about testing you before you get the what's it called, your harvest. So sow the seed and reap the harvest before you get your harvest. So I
Mhm.
think that it is, yeah.
Yeah, and I think so too. Like when we're trying to expand what we have in life, it kind of requires us to level up, right? And so
Oh, easy.
even if we call it a test, it's like it's really just calling us to be like bigger, fuller, better, more aligned versions of ourselves, right? So it's like almost a test we put ourselves through too, right? Like, can I be a good partner if I'm not working on myself, Like,
Yeah, exactly.
can I be a good employee if I'm not working on myself? Like, whatever the thing you're trying to manifest, right?
That's
Even
very
like, right? Like a sports car. Like, do I know how to drive before I get the sports car, right? Yeah.
deserve the sports car. Are you a person that deserves to have that? Are you a good person? Do you help people? There's a lot of things that kind of go into it. And you
Hmm.
won't get it until you kind of become that individual, that person.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the manifesting people I kind of follow, Denise Duffield Thomas, always talks about like prepping yourself. So like if you want like nicer clothes, like do you have a bunch of stuff in your closet that's like full of holes? Like can you
Yeah.
maybe donate some of that? If you want a new job, like have you worked on the skills or like like is your life organized in a way? So a lot of the time when I'm trying to like manifest like money, I'll go talk to a financial advisor and get, even if I don't need them yet, like I'm like, oh, I know who I'm going to call when I make that
Exactly.
money
Exactly.
you know
It's in place. So when your plan is ready, you know what you're doing.
Yeah. And it's less scary. I think you can be in that like higher vibe, like your brain doesn't go to anxiety. Like, well, what's going to happen if you get $1 million? Because if you get $1 million, like you're going to have to pay taxes and this and that and the other thing. You're like, oh, I already know what I'm going to do. Like, I have a financial advisor. I understand the tax brackets. I've done my research. So, like, if the $1 million comes, like, yeah, I'll have to put aside money to pay my taxes, but like, that's okay. It's better
That's
than
okay.
not having $1 million. And,
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
Very
I always
true.
look at taxes as like, oh, cool, I'm doing well enough that the government thinks I have enough money to like contribute, right?
Give me some of that.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I like the roads I drive on. I like the schools for like myself when I was growing up and our kids. And,
Mm,
so I always look at that as like, oh, this is a privilege that I get to pay into. Like, I get, like you said, with the future generations, it's like, it's my responsibility
yeah.
to
To
help
contribute.
other people, right? I don't always agree with the politics of
Yeah.
everything, but overall, I'm like, yeah, I want people to eat and I want social services and I want like pensions for people and
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know,
Yeah.
yeah,
So awesome. Because that's another way that we can also contribute.
totally. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm taking up most of your time at this point, but is there any like kind of closing notes that you want to like close on? Like, where can people find you?
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, like words of wisdom to give to everyone who's tuning in today?
Yeah. Henry Ford, he has a really, really great quote. He said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right. So I
Yeah.
would kind of end this podcast that we're doing. By the way, amazing podcast. I'm so pumped to be here. Thank you so
I'm
much.
so happy.
I'm
Yes.
really grateful for the opportunity. But I would honestly just kind of end it with saying that whatever you think, whether you want to believe in law of attraction manifestation or not, that's fine. I'm not here to convince individuals that you have to prescribe the law of attraction or manifestation. What I'm here to do is convince individuals to prescribe to believing in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you think you can do, you can do. If you put limitations on yourself, you put limitations on yourself. But it's extremely important to understand that you are capable of doing anything that you set your mind to. Not just in terms of me saying, oh, hey, I'm a guru, like you can do whatever you want, but in terms of you understanding that you are literally part of the grand scheme of the galaxy. You are part of the grand scheme of the divine order that goes on in the world. You are here, so you have a part to play in everything that's going on. And really kind of think for a second, like, wow, there's a whole universe out here, and you're here right now at this during this time period. So you have a grand role to play. So the fact that if you're not believing in your goals or you can't accomplish something, you need to know that you can because you're here, you have breath. So there's a reason that you have it. So it's really important, to understand that you can accomplish anything that you set your mind to. Whether you want to use the procedures of the law of attraction or not doesn't matter. What does matter is that you believe in yourself. Now, law of attraction manifestation will help. It'll speed up the process. But in general, believe in yourself at the end of the day, and just take action towards your goal. And always have that positive expectation and belief. And if negative things do happen to you, understand that those negative things happen so the positive things that you're asking for can come, no matter how negative it may seem. And I understand negative things can be extremely overwhelming. I really, really do get that. But it's very important to understand that negative things happen just so you can finally reap your harvest. And you can find me on Instagram, Kyle_Cardoza95, TikTok, Kyle Cardoza 95, and YouTube, Kyle Cardoza, or Online News Network. That's my entertainment reporting channel.
Amazing.
But I'm really, really excited to have gotten the chance to speak on your podcast. I'm really grateful. I feel very honored to be here. So thank you so much for the invitation. It means
Of course. I'm super appreciative too. I'm so happy we get to finally connect and chat in person. I've followed you for a while and I'm just like, you just seem so cool. So cool. We get to chat. And for everyone watching and listening today, we'll make sure that we link everything below in the description on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you're finding this, so you can follow Kyle. And such amazing tips. I always love seeing your content because it's like a little dose of really like practical magic, I would say, right?
Yeah,
like
magic.
sometimes I see people and it's super like woo woo, and I love my woo woo stuff, but sometimes I'm like, just tell me what I need to do.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's definitely your brand, I think. So like I love that, and I'm so excited to see what happens in the future with your businesses and your entertainment. And I want to just like go watch all the entertainment news now.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
hey, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Woo Girl Radio. You can find Woo Girl Radio wherever you get your podcasts, or you can tune in on YouTube every week on the Lionheart Leo channel, and we'll be releasing videos of these chats as we go. So thanks to Nine Life Music. Big shout out to you for letting us use your remix for our podcast. You can find Nine Life on Spotify, SoundCloud, or Instagram. He does amazing work, and I'm so grateful to get to work with him. The track is just chef's kiss. Love it. So I really wish you a beautiful week. I hope that you are starting to get your feet under you with manifesting, or maybe if you've been manifesting for a while, you just feel a renewed sense of confidence and growth. So sending you all my love. I know this has been a challenging year for everyone, so keep going. It will start to come together. I know it. You can find Kyle's info and Nine Life Music's info in the descriptions of wherever you are listening or viewing this. And I wish you all the best. See you next Thursday for the next podcast episode. Light and love to all of you.